beginnen. Sie sehen es hinter mir mit einem Grußwort. Wie oft haben wir seit gestern in eigentlich allen Diskussionsrunden gesagt, dass all die Herausforderungen, die vor der Branche stehen, europäisch gelöst werden müssen. Deswegen sind wir auch froh und stolz, dass wir jetzt ein Grußwort erleben dürfen von einer beeindruckenden estnischen Politikerin, die seit fast 2 Jahren EU-Kommissarin für Energie ist in der Kommission von der Leyen. Das gucken wir uns jetzt an. Hier ein Grußwort von Kadri, Simson.
Ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Brussels. Thank you for inviting me to today's event. On July 14th this year, the European Commission presented the most comprehensive package of EU climate and energy proposals ever. Altogether, 13 legislative proposals. Let me give you an overview. What led to this unprecedented overhaul of our legislative framework? As you surely know, under the European Green Deal, our ambition is to make the EU climate neutral by 2050. To meet this objective, the EU has set a binding target to reduce greenhouse gas emissions of at least 55% by 2030 in a cost-effective way. Energy consumption and production represents 75% of the EU greenhouse gas emissions. Thus, reaching our Green Deal goals will not be possible without reshaping our entire energy system. Our strategy is threefold: prioritizing energy efficiency and energy savings, electrify where we can, boosting renewables, and innovate where we cannot electrify, for example by using more low-carbon fuels and hydrogen. This approach is well reflected in the package of proposals we adopted in July for a revision of the Renewable Energy Directive and of the Energy Efficiency Directive. They complement the other proposals of the July package, for example on tightening the emissions trading scheme, the effort sharing regulation, and the introduction of a carbon border adjustment mechanism. So allow me to spend some minutes on the renewables and energy efficiency directives. With almost 20% in its energy mix in 2019, the EU has delivered on its 2020 renewables commitment. In July this year, we proposed to align our level of ambition with the EU's 2030 greenhouse gas emissions target and increase our renewables target to 40% of our final energy consumption by 2030. Going to 40% is ambitious, but doable. Indeed, many member states have already shown high ambition in their national energy and climate plans and in their recovery and resilience plans. For example, Germany's recovery plan includes 3.3 billion euros for decarbonising industry, 5.4 billion euros to make the transport sector greener, and 2.5 billion euros for a large-scale renovation programme for residential buildings. With this revision of the Renewable Energy Directive, we are focusing on how to further deploy renewables in industry, buildings and transport. These are sectors with an important decarbonisation potential. This is why we are proposing new targets for the share of renewables in transport and industry by 2030. Renewable energy also allows the companies to avoid the carbon costs and maintain or increase their competitiveness. The RED will create new opportunities for companies to purchase renewable energy through power purchase agreements, often leading to substantial financial savings. We are also helping the renewable industry with speeding up permitting procedures. This is why next year we will issue a set of guidance of good practices on permitting. Finally, in sectors where electrification will not be possible, emissions can be cut by replacing fossil fuels with renewable hydrogen. The revised directive will create new opportunities for building a brand new hydrogen ecosystem in Europe. We introduced 2 binding sub-targets for the use of renewable hydrogen in the transport and industrial sector. For example, in industry, the contribution of renewable hydrogen by 2030 shall be 50% of the hydrogen used. I'm happy to see that Germany, with its hydrogen strategy, is investing heavily in the transition to green hydrogen, also by putting a special focus on it in its recovery and resilience plan. The second cornerstone of energy policy in the Fit for 55 package is the recast of the Energy Efficiency Directive. Energy efficiency is a precondition for every decarbonization objective. The proposal on the EED puts stronger focus on the energy efficiency first principle, which needs to be applied in policy and investment decisions across the board. This is why the Commission is producing a dedicated guidance on the practical application of this principle. To realize the energy savings needed, the Commission proposed a new binding target for energy efficiency of 9% compared to the 2020 reference scenario projections for 2030. Annual energy savings obligation that will be increased to 1.5% in end use, but Member States will retain the flexibility to focus on the sectors with the biggest energy savings potential. And for businesses, the main change relates to the energy audit provisions. Here we are proposing to change the criterion for the obligation to undertake an energy audit. Instead of looking at the size of the company, the obligation will be imposed to companies exceeding a certain volume of energy consumption. In this way, we will be able to better target the companies with the highest saving potential. Moreover, minimum requirements for efficient district heating will be gradually increased to ensure fully decarbonized heat and cooling supply by 2050. The requirements for high-efficiency cogeneration are complemented with a limit on direct emissions of the CO2 from cogeneration when this is not fueled with renewables, waste, or industrial residues. For both directives, we are only at the beginning of the legislative process. Now the Member States and the European Parliament are starting to examine the Commission's proposals and will have to come to an agreement. But more is yet to come. By the end of 2021, the Commission will propose a targeted revision of the energy performance of buildings directive, a new regulation to avoid methane leaks, and a hydrogen and gas market decarbonization package. On the latter, I would like to give you a flavor already now. The revision of the EU regulatory framework for gas must recognize the role of gaseous fuels and its infrastructure and create the necessary framework conditions for the transition to climate-neutral gases, including the integration of hydrogen in the gas regulatory framework. These are not my words, but those provided by your organization in the public consultation that the Commission organized last spring. I can only agree with this statement. Natural gas will continue to play a role in the transition to a decarbonized economy by 2050. However, to reach climate neutrality, natural gas, without abatement of emissions, will need to be increasingly replaced by decarbonized and renewable gases in line with technological developments. As you pointed out, we need to set up the right legislative framework so that biogas, biomethane, and hydrogen can provide sustainable options for decarbonization across a wide range of sectors. The main aims of the hydrogen and gas market decarbonization package are, first, to facilitate the integration of renewable and low-carbon gases in the existing gas grid. This means that we will need to ensure, among other things, that biomethane can be injected at distribution level, that a certain gas quality is maintained in the existing gas networks, and that renewable gases have access to LNG terminals. We will also need to ensure that there is a sufficient integration of electricity, gas, and hydrogen networks. Second, we want to enable the development of a hydrogen market in a dedicated infrastructure, allowing hydrogen to become a key component of the energy sector. Moreover, we want to make sure that gas and electricity consumers will have the same rights. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, these are exciting and very busy times in the energy sector. We in the Commission believe that with the proposals made in July and those foreseen later this year, we are showing strong European leadership by paving the way for a better, cleaner, sustainable and more competitive energy system. We will need all stakeholders, especially companies active in the energy sector, to embrace and become active players in the transformation towards climate neutrality. I'm therefore very happy to see your involvement in the discussions and look forward to continuing our dialogue also in the future.